All ready to go? All right, Charlie. We're on episode 31 of the podcast. Today we are joined by Ross McClure, filmmaker and director. So, yeah. How
How
are
are
things
you?
going today, Ross?
Very well. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. Yeah, it's a nice sunny day. So
No
yeah,
worries.
all's well.
And
Thanks for coming on.
I see Andrew has a printer. I just have to mention that first of all.
Yes.
A 3D printer. I've always wanted one.
I don't know if you're able to see it there, but I got a 3D printer.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Just
I,
for the fun of it.
okay. Yeah, the studio I'm in at the minute that I work out of, there's one of the guys actually just moved out, but there's a 3D printer there, and the guy who owns it doesn't really use it, and so the guys whose room it's in are filmmakers, and they just constantly like printing lens caps or like lens filters, or they're just constantly, I think, using this machine that he has no idea they're using it, and they're just like making all sorts of gadgets and weird, wonderful things. So, pretty cool machines.
Have you ever wanted one?
I wanted one, yeah, whenever they first came, like were heard about them, but I don't fabricating processes and all that stuff isn't really my bag. I should probably think about using them for props and things, but I haven't needed to as of yet. But yeah, they're pretty noisy.
They're noisy and they're hard to get started with, like bed leveling and figuring out what temperature things have to be at and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know. Okay. So how long does it take to print something? Because you printed quite a few things, didn't you, Andrew?
Like 2 to 3 hours, depending on it, what you're printing. If you're printing something really big, it can take like 2 days, 3 days.
2 to 3 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What are you building? A building?
Well, no, not a building. So
a robot?
It's funny because you can build things to upgrade your own 3D printers. So you can like make like a filament guide, and you can build like covers for your screen and stuff like that. So you're using it to upgrade it itself. But
How much was it? Sorry, I've gone printer mad, but how much was it? I always wanted one.
What was it? That was 200 Canadian dollars. Well, actually, after tax, it was almost 300 Canadian dollars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is worth like 10 pounds of gold American.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know what the exchange rate is on pound sterling, but that's quite affordable, I would say.
Yeah.
That is pretty good, that.
Yeah, it is.
It wouldn't be that in the UK. No way, not now.
Yeah.
So, Ross, it's nice to have you on the show.
Cool.
So,
Yes.
I wanted to talk about your career and when it all started.
Okay.
Was there anyone who influenced you, or did you decide to start the path on your own?
No, I guess I just... Did anyone influence me? Do you mean like a kind of mentor figure?
Yeah, mentor. Yeah, what pushed you into career?
No, not really. I mean, I'm originally from Belfast in Northern Ireland, and the school that I went to didn't have like a filmmaking course or anything like that. You could do drama, you could do art, and you could do technology. So technology was more like engineering or kind of design. Art was art, painting, maybe photography, and then drama was just acting. And so I did drama at A level, which is like high school in the US and things. And then when I went to university, I did film studies because it seemed like the more logical step, because I wanted to learn more about it. Which, in hindsight, made me wonder whether I should have done film production. But at that time, this is like the early 2000s, the technology available, the cameras that everyone was using were those little mini DV tape cameras and the quality was just horrendous. So I kind of missed that kind of this period of like independent filmmaking when people were making films on that effective technology. And then I worked. Part of my course was running a film festival at university, and I also ran like a short film night. It was like a monthly thing that a friend and I did. And then when I left university, went to university in the north of England. I went to Edinburgh and lived there for a year and worked in the Edinburgh Film Festival. And so film festivals was the thing that kind of I was following at that point. And then I moved to London and got a job at the British Film Institute. And I worked there for a number of years, worked on the London Film Festival, Lesbian Gay Film Festival, which is now called BFI Flair. And over time, I realized I really wanted to be making my own films, which was probably something I'd wanted back in the day, but the avenue just was never there. It was never in front of me, like, this is what you want to do. And none of my family are creative in that regard, or there's no industry figure that I could have followed or I could have, asked for advice. So I've definitely had to like find a path myself, and then while I was at the BFI, I bought a camera and started shooting music videos and short films and little bits and pieces with friends, like little art projects and things. And I bought a Mac and taught myself how to edit. And then around 2011, 2012, I made a web series, which was called The Projectionists. And it was like this 6-part, 10-minute episode. So like an hour's worth of content that we shot in and around the BFI itself and in the projection rooms. And it was about these oddball projectionists who all work in an independent cinema, and they've all got weird idiosyncrasies, or they're all kind of oddballs and strangers because they just spend their time in dark rooms looking at film all the time. And so that was a huge kind of undertaking. I used to directed and edited it, and a good friend of mine who actually wrote the short film that we'll probably talk about in a bit, he wrote the script of this. So I did that, and at the same time I was working, I finally got like a kind of full-time job at an agency/production company, and I did that for about 18 months, and was turning out content quite quickly. And then I went freelance, and that was about that was 2013. So that was 8 years ago. So then I was freelance for a long period after that. I don't know if that answers your question.
Wow.
Based on ahead.
that did answer my question.
Okay.
And a few more, actually, yeah. Okay, I'm going to read it now. Okay, badly, but I'm going to read it. What would your favorite film directors or writers be? Or if you could work with anyone, who would that be?
Lots of people. It's always difficult to kind of like narrow.
Remember, they are watching this. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, a big fan of like Sergio Leone, who is an Italian director who directed The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and one of my personal favorite films, Once Upon a Time in the West. Kind of like lyrical and like kind of blackly comic films, and equally again. Hitchcock is someone that I've got a lot of time for. I've still not managed to see all his films because he made something like 40, 50 odd films in his time.
Didn't he?
But yeah, I mean, he's again master of suspense and kind of like always has great characters, great soundtracks, great cinematography. More recently, people that I really like. I'm a big Edgar Wright fan. I love like the way he uses comedy and uses the cinematography to heighten the emotion and the kind of the storytelling in his films. And it's something that I'm definitely trying, steal some tricks from him in the stuff that I do. And then, I'd say he's probably someone that I'd want to like meet and like work, maybe not work with, but hang out with and like absorb some of his kind of, energy, some of his powers. But then more recently, I mean, I'm not a massive horror fan, but I don't know if you guys have heard, there's a production company called A24, which has been bringing out lots and lots of like smaller independent films from new directors over the last few years. And a couple of films that they've done recently, well, or a couple of directors they've worked with, would be Ari Aster, who made Hereditary and Midsommar, which was this kind of really creepy, surreal kind of horror. It's all in like blissful daylight, in Scandinavia, or
really?
Sweden it's meant to be in. And it's kind of, there's this sequence where the characters take magic mushrooms and everything starts to be weird and surreal. And I love that kind of energy in a film as well. And then Robert Eggers is another filmmaker who made a film called The Lighthouse last year, which is a black and white, all like a kind of boxy aspect ratio. So, look at my screen, it would have been, this kind of thing. And it has Willem Dafoe and
cool.
What's the other guy? Robert Pattinson, who seems to be on a roll at the minute.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that. Although it's a wild watch, it's intense. So yeah.
Cool.
I like that. I love those answers.
So, when in your life would you say that filmmaking would be, I guess, you chose that filmmaking would be your path in life, I guess?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean,
yeah.
I think that I kind of always wanted to do it, but as I said previously, it was hard to know how to start that. Like when I was a kid, I used to get the paper every week, and it would have the TV guide in it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in like the mid to late 90s when you would only have we could only get 4 channels in the UK. We couldn't even get, there was a 5th channel at that time, but we couldn't get it. We couldn't receive the signal where we lived. And so I would mark in the TV guide all the films that would be out. And I had VHS tapes, like stacks and stacks of them. I switched them all to long play.
Yeah.
Which was like made it for 3 hours to 6 hours, and then I could record 3 movies back to back on a VHS. So I would have like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jaws, and The Thing on one videotape. Of course, you can just stream them all now easily. So I'd always had that kind of weird obsession with films and that kind of inclination to spend time on it and be obsessed with it. But it wasn't probably until my early 20s, or when I was around 25, and I helped out on a friend's short film shoot, and he was shooting the film with this camera which is called the Canon 5D Mark II, which was this huge explosion around 2009, 2010, when everyone started buying and using these cameras, which is a stills camera that shot HD video. So it was a tiny camera, but it could shoot really nice video, and you could change the lens on it.
Yeah.
So it was like having a cinema camera in your pocket, and that then led to me making the web series and starting on my kind of journey.
I watched your I don't know if it's your newest short film or one of your short films, and it was the Influencer Anonymous, I believe was the title of it. So what was the inspiration behind that?
Anonymous, the Influencers Anonymous just came out. We just released it online. It was in festivals over the last year and a half. It's like a 5-minute black comedy, and it's kind of takes the form of a Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. The writer James Vincent and I had and have and still do work in social media, making like social content for all the major social platforms like Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And we'd worked with and in and around influencers a lot. And it's this new kind of subcategory of celebrity that's kind of popped up, and everyone I think has an opinion on these people. And lots of people like certain influencers and they don't like other certain influencers. And I'd had this idea for a while. I wanted to do something about that world. And there's a film that came out in the late 90s that was called Analyze This, and it had Billy Crystal and Robert De Niro in it, and it's about a mobster who gets it just predates The Sopranos. It's about a mobster criminal who gets a conscience, and he goes to a psychologist. And I was like, oh, it'd be funny if it was called Influence This, and it would be, you know, the influencers had a conscience and they'd go to a psychologist. But I told the idea to James, the writer, but he immediately just said, oh, but it'd be even better if we could open the scope of it and we could have extra characters and we could have them playing off each other. And there was a short film competition with there is a short film competition called My Road Reel that's run by Rode Microphones every year. It's like quite a big competition, annual thing. And it was coming up. We were like, okay, let's write this thing and shoot it for this competition. And yeah, on the day, the actors just gave us so much more that and the performances really, really came through, that we were like, okay, this film really has legs. So, you know, let's see where it can take us.
I really enjoyed it.
I thought it was really good. I love the acting.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah,
I loved
it was
the
great.
writing. And I thought it was funny, but it's a serious subject as well if you think about it.
Yeah, well, the weird thing was, James had written the script and we bounced it around and we got it to a good place. And I was like, oh, this is going to be hilarious. This is going to be a really, really funny shoot to go on. And when we got to the location, which is this kind of warehouse space, we set up for the first shot, which is like the wide shot, which is the shot of where you just see the setup of the space and the characters and where they're all sitting. And because initially we set the shot up, we were like, oh, it looks a bit empty because we only had maybe 4 or 5 actors. And so James and I were like, okay, we're going to have to sit in to populate the rest of it. So if you stay in the beginning of the film, you can see me on the far right, with the cap on. I like to think I was like a gaming influencer, you know, I was at that point. And so we sat down, and the DP, the director of photography, hit record, and we started doing it. And all of a sudden, I realized just how serious the subject was, because the first actor, like Dave, was just completely haunted by his experience, and he was like sitting next to me. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is way heavier than I had imagined." So it was quite a strange shoot in that regard, because it was really funny, and there was points where we were really laughing, but there was other points where, they really had to be like in a specific emotional space. So yeah, it was. And the other thing was, so I'm in Barcelona right now. I'm based here, and we shot it in August, when it's between 30 and 35 degrees here on a good day.
Yeah.
And luckily the warehouse is really big, so it didn't heat up. I mean, well, it did heat up over the course of the day, but we weren't in a little room, thankfully. But I mean, we were all like dripping the whole time, and like chugging water. And amazingly, the actors all looked kind of composed in the actual footage, but everyone was, I think, between takes, because we would shoot a single, or like we would shoot a close up or a mid of each character as we went round. And so whenever once we were done with someone, they would just like take their clothes off or just strip off and be like, "Oh my god," down to the vest or whatever. So yeah, it was quite an intense day, really, all things considered.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I'd do it. Have you ever had a problem on set? Like, just say actors didn't quite do what they wanted to do. Was there a way you could direct them to fix the situation?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, yes, of course, that does happen, but usually they're trying to work with you. I think it's rare that you would get a situation where someone would be fighting against you, I suppose. But another thing is, usually you will have had some sort of prep or lead up time where you will either get to know the actor if you didn't already know them, and for influencers, we actually did know most of the cast. We've worked with them or knew of them before, which was a big help on the day, because everyone, even if a couple of them knew each other, you know, so there was already a few relationships already set up. But I find that if you find an actor that does embody the character correctly, they you know, if you cast it right, then, you know, 90% of the work is done, you know, because they're just going to do it the right way, and it's more a case of you being like,
yeah,
you know, I think the emphasis needs to be on this word, or, you know, I think that you need to have more of a pause here, or, you know, make me feel like, you know, you're in danger here, you know, whereas maybe they were doing it a bit more straight or whatever. So yeah. Yeah, that answers the question.
That's it.
yeah.
I haven't come to fisticuffs with anyone yet.
No, you haven't fought anyone. You haven't punched them in the face, no?
No, not yet.
Damn it, I want anger, sir. You're not giving me it.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
So what would be your biggest achievement, and is there something you would love to do in your career you haven't so far?
Oh God, that's a good question.
You have 5 seconds to answer. I'm kidding.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Quite often, I find that the most recent production is the thing that I'm the most proud of. And recently, I did a commercial shoot for Intersport, which is like a sports retailer in Europe, and the campaign was called "Take It Easy or Take It Epic," and the whole concept was that we would take some talent out into the wilderness, and there would be 2 shoot days. One, we would be filming with a family and a couple around the lake, and the other would be we literally went up a mountain and like had to hike up it with 4 like people who like you know are outdoorsy people and do lots of sport, and they had full outfits with like boots and trousers and jackets and and a big rucksack full of stuff and a hat and this, and yeah, we planned it for like 3 months, and then we had to get, you know, COVID tested in order to leave the Barcelona city area, and so that we could shoot without masks. And oh man, it was like it was a real undertaking. It was extremely exciting, and you know, the videos are actually just coming out this week on it's for Intersport social channels. But yeah, that was, you know, because the thing is, we had to take everything with us. You know, we couldn't. We were completely leaving the city and climbing the mountain. It's like you had to bring all your liquid, all your food, and everything had to come with you. And you know, all the batteries for the cameras, we couldn't just go and charge them, so we had to have extra of all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so that's a real satisfaction when we finished that shoot. But also, and I think Influencers is you know, has done really well, and it's allowed me to kind of, I've got a new short that I'm working on, and yeah, I'm moving forward with that as well. So what was the second part of the question? Do you ask me?
What would you okay,
what would I want to do in the future? Well, my plan is to keep doing shorts and hopefully move into more long form content, whether that's for Netflix or some other similar streaming service. It's strange because at the minute, more series or TV, if you want to call it TV, is being made than ever before. So they must need directors to be directing this stuff, you know? So there's got to be a show. There's got to be a show for me. Somewhere in the mix.
Have you got any of that stuff for me? Not directing, please. I need it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, this is here's my question. Your diet consists of 90s action films and 8-bit video games. If you could turn a video game into a film now and write and direct it, what game would that be?
Oh my god. So one of my favorite games when I was growing up was The Legend of Zelda on Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
Which, for anyone that doesn't know, is this kind of adventure game where you play a kind of warrior character, usually as a young man or young boy, and you have to travel the world and defeat demons and kind of rescue the princess. It's that type of thing.
Yeah.
But the joy of it is in learning new skills that open up new areas of the world and allow you access to places you couldn't before, and defeating enemies that you couldn't before. And I feel like it's, you know, it's not. I think you could do a kind of Game of Thrones style version of that game. Probably a little bit more family friendly, or a little bit more like, maybe not comedic, but the games definitely have a comedic element to them. Like, they're kind of cutesy and goofy, as well as, like, you know, plunging the sword through the bad guy's heart. So I'd definitely give that a go. And I think that the games are general enough that you could invest a story into it without it feeling problematic in the way that, you know, Super Mario Brothers or some other video game, you know, famously had trouble doing. So
what about Pac-Man? Try and make a film out of that.
Well, I mean, amazingly, they made that Emoji movie. A couple of years. I mean, I didn't see it.
Yeah,
but I don't know what the plot is. So.
Yeah, I don't know what that film's about.
I think wasn't there a movie called Pixels that came out?
Yeah.
Yes, that was. Yeah, I was thinking of that as well.
Adam Sandler, I believe.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I used to play a lot of video games, but I've had to sort of like stop I find that if I get a game and it's going to take hours and hours or days of my life to complete it, I'll find ways to get to play the game. Like I'll make pathetic excuses for myself that will be like, I'll do that tomorrow, and I'll just play another hour of the game. So I stopped buying video game consoles a while back and tried to put all that kind of extra energy into making films. But yeah, every sort of 6 months I look at video game consoles on Amazon and debate which one I should buy, and then I just never pull the trigger.
What consoles do you have? What game consoles?
Oh, I've only got old ones. I've still got a Nintendo 64. I mean, it's not out. I'm not playing it. It's in the cupboard. But I've got that. I've got a Mega Drive, which was called the Sega Genesis in North America, and I've got GameCube. I don't know. I've got something else.
You got the good ones.
But I'm quite a big Nintendo fan. And what I really want to play is the most recent Legend of Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, that everyone just says is, you know, perfection.
What you can get is a Switch, a handheld Switch, and then you can take it anywhere you want. You can be directing.
That's the worst. But that's the worst possible.
Cut. Do that again. Yeah. Damn it, Zelda.
Yeah. I mean, now you've got me thinking. Although weirdly, sorry, slight segue, but have you guys seen The Mandalorian, the Disney Star Wars TV show?
Yeah, I've watched the first series.
I haven't yet.
I'm on the second series.
But I'm planning on it.
I've watched. There's like a behind the scenes documentary on Disney Plus, which is fascinating about how they shot the show, and they shot it in this kind of digital screen in the round where they were able to project images, any image, to perfect clarity that will look good on a film camera. But the director constantly just has a little iPad and just walks around.
Yeah.
And I think they can just basically like immediately stream anything onto their iPad now and just rewind the clip.
That's crazy.
Replay it. I mean, I want one because normally I've got some like unwieldy monitor, or it has to be wired into the camera, or there's always some kind of problem, or you get these packs that are like like a wireless system, but then sometimes the system has to have a battery, the monitor has to have a battery, the transmitter and the camera has to have a battery. You go out of range.
Yeah. You got so many batteries.
Well, Disney, Mandalorian, it all just seems to work. So I don't know. They must have lots of money or something.
Yeah, I think it's the money. That's why Zoom's never so good.
Yeah.
I think Zoom needs to get better. They need more money. So you like action films, I believe, from the 90s.
Yeah, well, I think it says something like that on my website.
Yeah. So what would be your all-time action film, and right now?
Good question.
And if you could reboot it, what would it be?
Well, I would probably say the one that made the biggest impact on me probably was The Matrix, because it came out in 1999 when I was 14, and I remember I actually went to see it on the Friday that it came out. It had this amazing advertising campaign where it just showed you loads of cool stuff, and then Morpheus said, "No one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself." And we were like, "What? Oh my god!" And me and my friend went to see it on that Friday, and then it blew us away. And I remember because it was rated a 15 in the UK, and we were 14, and so we had to kind of lie and sneak our way in, and the whole thing was kind of a special experience. And then we got into school on the Monday, and we were like, "Hey guys, who saw The Matrix at the weekend?" And literally no one else had seen it. And we had no one to talk to about it, it was like this monumental film event, and we were stuck. We couldn't ruin it for people. It was kind of horrible. But the irony is they're actually rebooting it. It's The Matrix 4 shot last year, I think.
Okay.
And it's coming out this Christmas, which has Keanu Reeves back again and Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah.
So very interested to see how that turns out.
And you'll be old enough to see it this time.
Yeah, exactly.
What films in the 90s, action films, would you like to recreate and direct just now? I can't even think. Would it be The Matrix?
The thing is, The Matrix...
It's 2000, really.
If something's really good already, I find that then, is it a crime to remake it? I'm trying to think of... I mean, I'd say something like Face Off would be really hilarious to make now.
Yeah, they need to redo that. But it's funny. As a comedy, it's funny.
Yeah, exactly. The action in that is good, but I think you could remake that and have it be like much more digital, techy kind of, like a kind of tech thriller, and have, I don't know, who would you cast in it though? Instead of, you could have Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Gosling, maybe the two. Face off. Ryan v. Ryan. I think that would be a good.
And they have to keep the face thing going on as well.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where they roll their hands over their face.
The creepiest thing on earth. Oh, I know who it is now.
Yeah.
I thought I escaped you.
Yeah. Exactly.
So Face Off would be your film. No other film.
I mean, another film I think that people forget about, but it was a great 90s action movie, would be Speed. It's another Keanu Reeves movie from 95.
That's a good film.
I think, again, you could have that as more of a kind of added technological element to it. But it's just pure action. It's the simplest concept. There's a bomb on the bus, and they can't slow down. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And people forget that it goes beyond the bus and then went on to the train.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it starts in the lift. The first bomb is on the lift.
Yeah.
And then it scales itself up.
What was the second film? It was on a ship or something.
Yeah, Speed 2 Cruise Control. I've never brought myself to watch it though.
Of course, it's going to blow up straight away. It's slow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
But
going
to. There's no like traffic to avoid because it's in the ocean, so it doesn't really.
They didn't do it. They didn't want to do it on the plane. So they did it on a boat. You gotta avoid the dolphins, man.
Yeah.
So have you got any new projects coming up?
I do, yeah. I've got a short film that we shot last summer, which is called Dog in Translation, which is also a comedy, slightly more surreal this time. It's about a stubborn British man who doesn't understand Spanish, and he and his girlfriend are out for a walk in this idyllic park in Barcelona. We shot it here in the city, and then they meet one of her work colleagues, and they start talking in Spanish, and then he basically goes inside his own head and starts to panic and worry about what they're talking about. And obviously, we can read; we have subtitles, so we can understand them. And the guy has work has his dog with him, and the dog then starts to talk to our hero kind of telepathically, and then it just goes completely kind of wild. We shot it in a park that has this ornate maze, and so it has kind of the Shining elements where there's a kind of maze section. So quite that's very nearly, it's right at the end of post-production. I think I'm due to get there's some VFX shots in it. I'm due to get the last versions of those hopefully this week. And then, looking to put it out into festivals this year. And then I'm trying to write a couple of new things as well, but that's still early days.
Are you allowed to mention them? Or?
As well, one is based on something that happened to me when I was at university, where I went to Laser Quest and slightly intoxicated, and it has a kind of video game element to it as well. Actually, now that I think of it, but I wrote down the real story, what really happened, and now, but it doesn't really work as a narrative, and now I'm in this midpoint where I'm trying to alter it to make it fit more of like a traditional story. And then I'll probably have a final version that we'll actually shoot once I've kind of worked my way through it. But it's tricky because I've got these real characters who I know and who are my friends, or, people that I knew back then. It's quite difficult then to extrapolate that or, create something new from that. I keep getting distracted or being like, would he say that? Or would he do this? And I need to kind of push that aside and go, who are just the characters for this story? It's a bit of a challenge in writing it.
Okay. I've got one more question, okay?
Yeah.
Sure.
One more. It's the most important. It's the most important question, okay? Do you prefer tea or coffee? That's the trickiest question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I had tea. Okay, I just had tea.
Oh, we've got one. So I'm the deciding vote, am I?
Yeah. Which one? Who do you like the most now?
Daddy or Chip? I would say if it was anywhere in the last sort of 10 plus years, it would be tea. But since I've moved to Barcelona a couple of years ago, I've become completely coffee addict, and I've got into like buying my own beans, and buzzing them, and then like filter coffee. Like I've got one of those like what are they called?
Yeah.
Like a kettle, like a swan neck, like the pretentious kettle, I like to call it.
That is too fancy for me.
Yeah, but I do still.
Oh yeah.
I do have some PG tips downstairs in the cupboard.
Oh, good.
And some Yorkshire tea bags actually. So I haven't left you behind.
No. Well, I met my wife in Mexico. Okay, she's Mexican, and that's what brought me onto coffee. I drank a lot of coffee because of her, and I just love it. And now I'm addicted to it.
Yeah,
I'm more addicted to the food as well, like the spicy food. Oh my god, it's.
Yeah, my partner, she's from Mexico actually, so there's a similar, food and drink infused culture has become a bigger part of my life. Which is good. It's all like only a good thing.
What's your favorite place in Mexico? Well,
I've only been to the one because I've only been back there over one Christmas. And I was in Mexicali, which is in Baja California, near to Tijuana, because that's where she's from. But no, we did plan to go back, but then this blasted pandemic has.
No, we can't even go to Mexico. Enjoy the heat, damn it! Even I want the heat. I need a tan as well. I look. I've used filters today.
I was going to say you look kind of rosy, yeah.
Even my lips, they look like I've got lipstick on.
Yeah.
I done myself up a bit. That's why. So, and that's it. There are the questions, and I hope it was really nice having you.
Wonderful.
Absolutely great. And
thanks for having me on, guys.
And I hope
it was.
I hope we can have do this again in the future and see where we all are.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I don't know if you need any social links or links to anything. We can send you stuff through.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description on all your stuff, even your websites.
Yeah,
your short films. And anything else? Your favorite foods?
Yeah,
put a link there.
I'm on Instagram and Twitter. It's my name's just reversed, so it's at McClure Ross, or you're looking at it at McClure Ross that way.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Was there a reason? Was it fancy? Just reverse it. The Matrix.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was just that someone got to Ross McClure first, and then I've just
Damn it! There's someone with your name.
Right. Cool, guys. Well, thanks again.
All right.
Thanks, Jim. And
Thank
we
you.
will see you all next time. Goodbye.